mesmerizing about it. With all of the amazing meals that Grandma made, there's one we still talk about every family reunion. One special meatloaf. It looked perfect, as it was 100 times before. But then, with one smooth slice.
What is that?
Grandma, is that a banana?
It's a new recipe.
A whole banana?
I'll show you. See, it says onion chopped, mustard, salt, pepper, one banana.
It's supposed to be mashed up in there, okay.
I mean, that's all right.
I remember how disappointed she looked. She never made a mistake in the kitchen.
Man, Grandma, I gotta say, the flavor on this is absolutely bananas.
Over the years, we would all laugh about that meatloaf. And Grandma usually bragged that it was her best meal ever. It's funny, isn't it? We try so hard, trying to get everything just right. But the thing I learned from her, it's sharing our imperfections. That's what makes room for what's most perfect.
You know, we are not called to be perfect. We're called to fully love one another. Our flaws do not disqualify us. They are often the very things that God uses to bring us together. It's 1991 and Desert Storm is going on. And it's my senior year in high school. And I was a baseball player. I played football, ran track. I played basketball until my 10th grade year, and then I started realizing I looked more like a basketball than a basketball player. So I stopped doing that. But I was in the band all the way into high school, and then I still played in the band for concerts and stuff. I played the baritone and the drums, and I was in choir, believe it or not. And I actually really loved choir. And if it wouldn't have been for baseball and me loving sports so much, I probably would have gone to college and sang in choir and that kind of stuff. So I love music. My family loves music. Matter of fact, much of my family, obviously Wes, and he plays the keyboard, really? Haley and Becca, and just my family loves to sing. And so in high school, it's Desert Storm, and we're having this celebration at the town square. Now, this is a quintessential Southern town with the town square with the Confederate soldier statue, like what you see in the movies. This is the kind of town that I'm talking about, right? Ms. Drew, you know what I'm talking about, right? So on this Saturday, I was supposed to go, and I was singing at this ceremony for our troops in our town that were involved in Desert Storm, I was going to sing "Proud to Be an American" by Lee Greenwood, right? So the night before, I was hanging out with one of my friends named Sine, and we were hanging out, and we were talking, and we were doing this kind of stuff, and I was over at her house, and this conversation started, which was like, man, Craig, what would it look like if you had black hair? Right? And I was just like, well, I probably look like Elvis, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And then she was just like, hey, you know what? I've got a washout, like, hair dye. It's like, why, like, let's just do it and let's see what it looks like. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, hello. Okay. See, here's the thing, though. Sine, being the lovely African-American young lady that she was, the hair dye that she had was dark and lovely. So some of you guys might not know that brand, but that brand really is not for my hair. So we go in and she dyes my hair black. Okay, it wasn't the kind of black that it should have been. It did not look right. And we saw real quick. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and wash this out and that kind of stuff. Well, come to find out, whatever was in that box was not the kind that you could wash out. At least not out of my hair. So this was the night before I'm supposed to go in front of the whole town and sing for our troops. And I come home late at night, not super late at night, and I walk in the house, and I have a hat on because I know this is not going to be good. And I come in, and my mom, she already could tell just from the sideburns. She was like, take your hat off. I was like, it's good. It's all, you know. She came in and took my hat off. Y'all, she was like, what did you do? Oh my goodness, you look crazy. You know, and all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, Mom, it was an accident. It was supposed to be able to wash out, but it's not. So it's fine. And then she's like, no, it's not fine. I'm not going to have the people in this town. You got to understand a little Southern mama. She was like, you're not going to have all these people thinking I don't take care of my kids and all this kind of stuff. And he got a crazy haircut and he's dyeing his hair. You look like Dracula and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, so we go in. I said, Mom, I've already tried to wash it out. It won't come out. I'm like, so I'll just shave my head bald. It's good. You know, it's like whatever. She's like, no, y'all, let me tell you something. I'm in there, she's like, you wash it again. I washed it like 4 times. Nothing. My mama goes and gets Comet. Let's see if this works. See, and I'm like, she's scrubbing my head. I'm like, Mama, stop, get out. I had to put my mama out the bathroom. And I go in there and I wash all that stuff out of my hair. My hair's all stinging, my head's all stinging now and everything, right? And then I'm just like, forget this, I'm just gonna shave my head, right? It's all good. So I get the clippers. I shaved my head. My head is stained, y'all. Like my head is still black on my head, right? So then I'm like, okay, Esteban, calm down. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna bick it. I'm gonna get the razor and really shave my head, right? So I do it. Y'all, it has stained my head. Y'all, dark and lovely done did me wrong, right? So I get through with all that, and then I walk outside the bathroom, and my mom is just, she's ready to ship me off somewhere and that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, whatever. I'm more stressed out about her than I am about my head going crazy, right? So anyway, so I'm just like, fine, I'll just wear a hat when I'm singing, Mom. It's not a big deal. You are not going to wear a hat while you're up there singing to our troops in front of stuff. So anyway, so I go, I'm dressed all nice. I got a baseball hat on. And then we walk up to the thing, and then my mama takes my hat off. And then I'm sitting there, and I sing in front of the whole town with my little stained head. And so it was at that moment where I got up there, and everybody's looking. I'm like, yeah, I know. It didn't work out the way I thought. Let's just sing. And everybody laughed, right? And then we sang the song, and I went and got my hat and put it back on, all right? So I say that to say this, right? Sometimes we have plans and they just don't work out right. They don't work the way that you thought. Like a new recipe and you have a banana in the meatloaf, then you realize that the banana was supposed to be mashed up instead of just in there, right? Why do we feel so much pressure to get it all perfect? If we're going to confess, right, it's probably that underneath the striving to be perfect or to get it right, there's probably often fear. The fear of disappointing, of being seen as less than, or maybe just letting people down, or letting ourselves down. But what if a moment that feels like failure could actually become a memory to be cherished? Or a moment that draws us closer to others? I don't know about you, but most of the time in my life when I haven't been at peace, it's been because I'm worried about what somebody else thinks. Maybe you're different than that. But most of the time when I'm not at peace, it's because I'm worried about what somebody else thinks, or I'm worried about an outcome. And I'm trying to control something that I can't control, right? So I don't have peace. And we've all been in that moment where a mistake threatened to ruin everything. A wrong ingredient, a harsh word, a forgotten responsibility. Or how about me? Before I was a Christian, creeping, stepping out, right? Got a girl pregnant that I didn't know. And then I'm a student at Harding, the Christian University, and I get a knock on the dorm room door with a warrant for my arrest for not paying child support for 2 years. That's how I found out, y'all. Like, what? Went through that whole thing. Yeah, like you start getting a little worried about what somebody's going to think, right? Y'all ever been there? Is it just me? Right? Wait a minute, y'all been at Harding and had a child you didn't know about? Wow, that's crazy. Shame tells us that if people see this flaw, they'll pull away. Like, what? The pastor's up there talking about dipping and dapping? What is wrong with him? Like, I ain't worried about that. That's part of my story. It's part of who I am, right? The good and the bad. You can get all of it, right? I mean, you get how handsome I am, and then you get the bad stuff too, right? That's just part of it. I don't know why y'all be rolling y'all's eyes when I say that, but I'm just saying. But here's the thing, guys. Like, when imperfection is met with grace, something surprising can happen. We draw closer instead of apart. Because when I'm the pastor and I get up here and talk about all the stuff I did wrong, then how do you feel? You start feeling like, okay, well, maybe I ain't too bad. Y'all just don't know. I'm thinking like, Lord, if I told him everything, right? I mean, but it's true, right? Have you ever been around that person that never messes up, never makes a mistake, always gets an A, whatever? Well, how do you feel about that person? I mean, they're a good person. You're trying not to be mean, whatever. But what do you want them to do? Make an F? That's what you want. I mean, we're like that. That's horrible. It's horrible that we're like that. But we are, right? It's like that. But our imperfections, man, they draw us closer together. But we try so hard to hide it. We try so hard to make ourselves look different than how we really are. I mean, isn't that what social media is? I mean, we try to make ourselves, do we ever take a picture of how we really look like when we wake up in the morning? No, we get up and spend 45 minutes doing our hair, putting on our makeup, trimming up the beard and everything, and then we kind of shake our head and take a picture, just waking up. Right. My hair be going all every kind of way. I know Chris Monday was like, how do you get your hair to be like that? Product, brother, product, right? Product. In the film that we watched earlier, the grandmother, her banana meatloaf was the mistake she wanted to scrub away. But the family's recognition and grace for grandma, right? Turn it into a moment of connection and laughter. I mean, when the grandson said, hey, Grandma, man, the taste of this is bananas, right? All of you guys laughed, right? Because you were feeling the tension of that moment, because you were looking at that grandmother and you knew, maybe you hadn't made the wrong banana meatloaf before. Like, I don't even know what that is, y'all, right? But you understood that feeling, didn't you? Everybody in here. You've been in that situation where you tried to, I'm just going to see how my hair looks, dye black, and the next thing you know, you got a shaved, stained head singing in front of the whole town, right? It's not the way you meant for it to be. And you know what my mom was the most worried about? How people would think about her, right? That's what she was worried about. It didn't hurt me. I just looked like an idiot. But she was just like, no, this is going to make me look like an idiot, right? That's why she put comment on me. She put comment on my head, y'all. That was back in the days where they didn't care. You know, our parents, they didn't love us the way y'all be loving y'all's kids these days. They let us do stuff. They would put comment on our head. I remember going on a trip. They would let us sleep in the back window. Like, just sleep up there. We'd be going halfway through the trip. My dad would be like, turn your sister over so she don't burn. Turn her over. When we make a mistake, we all long for that kind of grace. And there's peace that comes along with that. So think about this, 3 points. Point 1, God's grace meets us in weakness. Without weakness, you wouldn't need grace. Right? God's grace meets us in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. You see, weakness isn't the enemy. It's actually the doorway for God's strength. Have you ever noticed, I said this in class this morning, like, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, right? And here's the thing, like, guys, if it was the other way around, you know what we would do? We would boast in our abilities. Look how I'm helping God out. I'm helping God today. No, you're not. God don't need you. I don't know why I channeled Bernie Mac just then, but I did, didn't I? But I don't God don't need me. He wants me. And there's a difference. And when we submit in our weakness and knowing like, yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do this, right? And then we go and something amazing happens, then everybody knows what? Well, that wasn't great. Oh, God. He's great. I got on his side. Do you really think when they saw David, they were just like, oh, yeah, he can kill Goliath. He's got him. He's got him. No, they weren't thinking that. And then he went out there and did it. And then what did they go? Oh, I was wrong. David's the man. No, they didn't say that. What did they say? God was with David. So when we're weak, when we embrace that, right? Like God's strength is made known through that. And that's what we're here for, right? So God's grace meets us in weakness. Second point, right? Love covers imperfections, not perfectionism. Right? Anybody in here got a little bit of the case of perfectionism? Well, I know I do. I know y'all might be surprised at that, but I do. Right? I worry about little bitty things. Look, like, I worry about little stuff. Right? And I have to pray constantly to let go of that stuff. I really do. Romans 15:7 says, accept one another, then just as Christ accepted you. Like, we don't need to be putting these qualifications. Well, I'll accept them if they do da-da-da-da-da. Or I'll accept them when they stop acting crazy. Right? Well, I'll accept accept them when, they stop being an Angels fan and come over to the Dodgers, right? Or I'll accept, no, that's not, we're supposed to love Angels fans the same as Dodgers fans, right? Yes, right. You gotta get one amen? No. And 1 Peter 4:8 says, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. See, love is not about a response to somebody having it all right, so this is their reward. I'm going to love them. Love is a choice that we make, regardless of what that other person does. Can you imagine what the world would be like if that's how we dealt with each other? Can you imagine the potential that's in all of us that could be materialized if everybody knew, even I'm going to give my best, and if I mess up, it doesn't matter, people are still going to love me? I mean, most of the mess we get into is because we're not doing the thing, because we're doing the thing we're doing in a way because we're trying to control how somebody looks at me, or how they think about me, or what I'm going to get out of it. I mean, I know for me, coming from a home that had adultery in the home and had all kinds of messed up stuff in it, everything growing up, and it was like it was fake because it was like we got to put on this front of how we're supposed to look, and we'd be arguing and fighting in the car and then roll up in the church and then get up like, well, hey, Susie, how you doing, girl? And everything was okay, and I grew up with that. And there was a time in my life where, man, I was rebelling, and you know what I was rebelling? I was rebelling against all that faith. And I used that as an excuse to go do what I wanted to do. But I was searching for something that was real. And what I realized is a lot of the stuff that I was in was fake. And it really wasn't until I went off to college and I was at Harding and I met Sharon and I started seeing, oh, okay, so everybody's not like this. And, and I started kind of normalizing a little bit. I know that's scary because you think you're not normal now. Yeah, you should have seen me back then, right? So love covers imperfections, but not perfectionism. We don't have to chase after that. God doesn't ask us to impress each other. He asks us to embrace each other. Thirdly, God redeems our imperfect stories into lasting memories. You might remember some of these points that I made. But you know what you're not going to forget? Me staining my head black. You're not going to forget that part. Right? Because God made us to connect with story. It's why country music is popular. Amen. No. It's not because of the beat all the time, right? I mean, sometimes it's like, is there a beat? But I mean, it's because of the story. Do you know why people loved old school hip hop and rap? He was telling a story. It was telling a story about people's experiences in a community and what happened to them, and they were telling that story. You know why rap today is not as good? Because they're not telling a story. They're just trying to get you to buy the album. Right? I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying there's a difference. God redeems our imperfect stories in the lasting years. It talks about this in Scripture. Even like Romans 8:28 says, in all things God works for the good of those who love him. And Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. Most of the time, we don't get to experience that beautiful part because we're not willing to wait on God. We're out there trying to do our thing. Make it happen. Control it. Make it happen the way we want it to happen. Like dye your hair black. End up staining your head like I was such an idiot. Anyway. The banana in the meatloaf became the family's most retold story. Not because it was flawless, but because it wasn't. And that's what connected everybody. All of the meals Grandma made that were perfect, the one they remember is the one that they did, and that's how they connect. So let me ask you some questions for you to reflect on, right? Where in your life are you trying to be perfect. Now listen, there's a fine line here. I'm not talking about the pursuit of excellence. You should pursue to be as excellent as you can be. So I would hope that the next time Grandma made her banana meatloaf, she mashed the banana up like the recipe said, right? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But the goal is to be the best version of ourselves, right? Not perfect. So where in your life is you trying to be perfect, creating this stress and in this anxiety and you not having peace? Because where that is, that's where you probably need to back up for a minute, take a breath, and surrender that to God and know that His power is made strong through your weakness. So stop trying to be perfect in everything. Here's another thing to think about. What mistakes or flaws are you still scrubbing away in shame? Guys, we've all messed up. I've messed up. I mean, I have a daughter who I dear lovely, and she's married, and she has my little granddaughter. I mean, I wasn't the kind of daddy to her that I was to Sharon and I's 4 kids, because I didn't get to see her all the time. We were living in different places. And we have a great relationship now, but it wasn't always like that. Right? And it took me a long, long time to get over the guilt of that, right? Because it was my choice to do something that made her life that way. She didn't control that. But I can't let that define me for the rest of my life. But it can help me understand why I need grace and love and mercy. It sure helps me extend that to other people. Because they struggle, something else is going on. How I'm going to be here all night trying to be all up in their business when I know I was living a certain kind of way. And when we remember that, it helps us forgive and love other people who are doing things that are wrong, right? What would it look like to let grace into that moment for you? For yourself? For others? Let your weakness be a place where you can offer grace for yourself. Because you need to be able to give that grace to yourself before you're really going to find peace giving grace to others. Because if you can't find that peace for yourself, then giving grace to others is going to feel like you're paying some kind of penance for what you're wrong to make it right. And that's not what God wants you to feel. That's not what He wants you to know. He doesn't want you to do right and follow Him to pay Him back for how you mess things up. That's not the life that sets you free. That's not the hope and the joy and the peace of the gospel. That's something different. That's pretending like you actually can do something to earn what He's giving you. We can't. I can't make up for those things. All I can do is do better now. And that's the only thing that any of us can do. Here's what I want you to practice saying, right? My worth isn't tied to perfection. My worth is secure in God's love. Or maybe say it like this. My worth isn't found in my performance. My worth is secure in God's love. I would tell my athletes all the time, your worth is not in how well you play this sport. How many touchdowns, how many yards, how many tackles, what your batting average is. Whatever it is, right? Your value is not in that. Your value is in the fact that Jesus Christ died for you and loves you. And there's nothing that you can do to make Him love you more or less. So whatever those things that are going that you've been chasing, that you've been trying to be perfect to make up for the wrong that you've done, that you've been trying to live in such a kind of way to earn the stuff, just stop. Just let it go. Christmas, in part, is about peace. It's why we lit that second candle about peace today. Well, you can't find that peace or have that peace if you're constantly in a grip trying to make up for something you did wrong. You can't have peace like that. All right, can we be honest for a minute? How many people are guilty of doing that? Raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand. All of you, because all of you did it. If you didn't, you lying. We got to pray for that again. You know? Yeah, we do. So just like, let it go. All of us are dirty, rotten scoundrels. That's the reality of it, right? We've all messed up. We're all selfish. We've all chased the wrong things for the wrong reasons, the right things for the wrong reasons. It's part of who we are, right? But accepting that and letting go of those things allows the Spirit to come in and really change us to where we stop chasing those things and we start just chasing to be a reflection of Jesus. My worth isn't tied to perfection. My worth is secure in God's love. So here's a vision that I want you to put into your mind, right? However you envision this. Imagine a church family where no one felt that they had to scrub their perceived flaws away before coming to the table. Imagine that place. Sounds like a good place, doesn't it? Guys, we want this church to be that kind of place. We want this church to be a place where we pursue God, we build community, we unleash compassion. When you're at a place that's doing those things and then you join in doing those things, guys, you will have peace. Peace that surpasses understanding. You'll start being worried about not having something to worry about. I mean, that's when you know you really got a problem with worrying, right? It's like you have anxiety for not having anxiety. Anybody been there before? I've been there. I start looking around like something hit me. I know it's coming, right? Imagine homes where imperfect meals and imperfect conversations still brought belonging and laughter. Grandma, this recipe is bananas. Remember, guys, perfection isn't what holds us together. Grace does. Love does. Jesus does. And that kind of grace gives us peace that only comes from above. And at Christmas, we get to celebrate that hope and that peace that Jesus brings into the world. Because without the peace that Jesus brings, we would be left to just chasing perfection and just trying to figure it out ourselves. And it wouldn't be as good of a place, I promise you. Sometimes we talk about Christmas and Advent, and we talk about hope and peace and joy and love, and there's like these things, and it's like we're supposed to talk about these things, but like, how does that really matter to my life right now? How does the fact that Jesus really came as a baby and all of this stuff and everything, like, how does that change my day to day? How is that going to affect my Monday? Well, this is how. It's knowing that grace from Jesus and what he did gives us peace, because I don't have to chase that stuff anymore. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to try to do the best that I can, and when I fall short, glory be to God, because if it works, it's because of him, not because I'm so good and I have to do this. And at the end of the day, I want you to love me, and I want you to be like, man, Gray loves God and do whatever, but I'm just going to tell you, at the end of the day, I'm trying not to care what you think about me. That's the truth. The only thing that should matter is what he thinks of me. And he's already told me what he thinks of me. He loves me. He died for me. And he wants to spend eternity with me. Guys, let's live out our Mondays and our Tuesdays and our Wednesdays and our Thursdays and our Fridays and our Saturdays and even our Sundays with that kind of hope and with that kind of peace. And let's just see what God can do with our stained black heads, right? From from our failed attempts to try to make ourselves look like something different than we are. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much. Thank you so much for loving us. Thank you so much for your grace and your mercy. And God, thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for always coming through, for always letting your yes be yes and your no be no. God, help us to submit to you. Help us surrender to you. Help us to bend the knee. Help us to not try to make ourselves look different than we are, but to fully embrace who we are and who we are in you, God. And if there's nothing we can do to make you love us more or less, and that our job is to surrender and try to love other people the way that you have loved us. Thank you so much. God, release our anxieties, release our struggles, release our attempts to be perfect. Release, God, help us release those things to you so that your power may be known in this place. And it's in Jesus' great and holy name that everybody said.